All right, let's dive into what is, without a doubt, the most epic story ever told. We're talking about the 4 billion-year journey of life on our planet, Earth. It is a story of chaos, of revolution, and just incredible transformation. So it really all boils down to this one huge question. How in the world did we get here? How did we go from a barren, lifeless rock to this vibrant, living world we see all around us, and eventually to us? Okay, let's get into it.
To even begin to wrap our heads around this, we have to go way, way back. Our story kicks off about 4 billion years ago, on an Earth that you and I would find completely, and I mean completely, unrecognizable.
I want you to just try and picture this. We're talking about a world with boiling oceans, under a sky just choked with volcanic ash. The air, it was this toxic soup of methane and ammonia, with absolutely none of the free oxygen we need to breathe. But what this hostile world did have was energy. Raw, powerful energy from constant lightning strikes and intense solar radiation.
So all that energy, it was basically like a giant, chaotic chemistry experiment happening on a planetary scale. Lightning and radiation were constantly zapping those simple molecules in the air, sparking all kinds of chemical reactions. And over millions of years, this relentless process, something we call chemical evolution, forged something entirely new. The first bioorganic molecules, like amino acids, the fundamental building blocks of all life.
Okay, so the building blocks are there. We've got the raw materials. But how do you go from a pile of bricks to an actual house? That's the next incredible chapter in our story.
Down in those warm, chemical-rich waters, what people like to call the primordial soup, those amino acids started linking up, creating the first proteins. At the same time, other molecules were assembling into something truly revolutionary: nucleic acids. First RNA, and then the much more stable doubled helix we all know, DNA. For the very first time in history, there was a blueprint for life.
And then a monumental leap. These molecules somehow organize themselves into the very first cell. We call this first life form a chemoheterotroph, which is a total mouthful, I know. It just means it got its energy by eating the organic molecules that were floating around it. This wasn't just chemistry anymore. This was biology. Life had officially begun.
Now, you'd think life would just take off, right? Well, not exactly. For over 1 billion years, life just stayed simple. But the next stage wasn't just about life adapting to Earth. No, this is where life started to fundamentally change the entire planet.
The game changer? It was something you learned about in grade school: photosynthesis. These tiny organisms called cyanobacteria, they figured out this absolutely revolutionary new trick: how to harness the power of pure sunlight. They used it to make energy, and in the process, they released a waste product that would alter the course of history forever: oxygen.
So, for the very first time, Earth's atmosphere gets flooded with free oxygen. And for the life that was already there, this was a disaster. It was toxic. It was basically the planet's first mass extinction. But, every crisis creates an opportunity, right? This new oxygen-rich world paved the way for a whole new kind of life, one that could use that oxygen to generate massive amounts of energy.
Fueled by this incredible new energy source, single cells started doing something new. They started working together. They began living in colonies, and eventually they started specializing. Some cells would handle moving around, others would focus on eating. This division of labor was the critical leap that gave rise to the very first multicellular organisms.
So now we have complex bodies. The stage is officially set for an absolute explosion of diversity. Welcome, everyone, to the Paleozoic era. The pace of evolution just hit the accelerator. The whole thing kicks off with the Cambrian Explosion. And this is wild. It's this super short period where pretty much all major animal groups just appear. Then, not long after, we see the first vertebrates, these early fish with backbones. Then came one of life's greatest adventures, the move to land. First by amphibians living in both worlds, and then by reptiles, who fully conquered the continents.
Okay, so from those early reptiles, a new kind of animal evolves: the mammals. For millions and millions of years, they were just kind of hiding in the shadows of the dinosaurs. But then, an extinction event clears the stage, and one particular group of mammals starts a journey that leads, well, directly to us.
So after the dinosaurs are wiped out, mammals finally get their chance. And among them are the primates, these small creatures living in trees. They had hands for grabbing and eyes facing forward for judging depth.
skills that are going to turn out to be incredibly important.
Fast forward a bit. About 6 million years ago, a group of apes in Africa does something huge. They come down from the trees and they start to walk on 2 feet. This was the game changer, bipedalism. Walking on 2 legs sounds simple, but it freed up the hands for the very first time. And what do you do with free hands? You carry food, you care for your young, and crucially, you start making and using tools. This created this powerful feedback loop. Better tools required bigger brains, and bigger brains led to even better tools. It was an intelligence arms race with ourselves.
And this whole evolutionary path leads right here, about 300,000 years ago, to us, Homo sapiens. So what made us so different? Well, it was our innovations. We got really good at making tools. We figured out how to control fire. And maybe most important of all, we developed complex language to share ideas, to plan, to build entire cultures.
Just look at that number for a second. 4 billion years. That's the sheer scale of this journey. An unbroken chain of life stretching from one single cell in a forgotten ocean all the way to you right here, right now. It is absolutely mind-boggling to think about.
And that's what it all leads to. This final, really powerful question. After this unbelievable 4 billion year epic, we're the result. We are the first species on this planet to actually understand our own story. We know where we came from. So the big question now is, what's next? Where do we go from here?